We'll now move along to our second round table of the day, now that we've got a few little housekeeping things sorted out. The subject of this round table is the Intelligent Horizon, an outlook on new possibilities in business management introduced by AI. This roundtable, through the testimonies of industry experts and the analysis of various case studies, aims to illustrate to a public of entrepreneurs and decision makers who wish to become actors in the digital transformation of their industries the potential of AI that is driving the fourth industrial revolution, leading the definition of new paradigms of competitiveness in the global market. The integration of artificial intelligence into business management heralds a transformative era characterized by unprecedented efficiency, innovation, and strategic insight. So on our panel today, we have 5 participants. The first one is Marty Dytrych. He is CEO of Industrial Data Labs, a company at the forefront of applying AI to transform RFQ processing in industrial sales. Marty is a seasoned entrepreneur who has worked with several startups in the oil and gas industry. His expertise centers on guiding distributors and manufacturers through adoption of innovative technologies, consistently delivering value and driving outcomes in the business process. Beside Marty is Marco Galiazzo. He is the founder and CEO of EKR SRL Software House, specialized in enterprise knowledge management. He likes to help companies to grow, improve their own internal processes, and consolidate in new markets. He is convinced there's a lot of room for improvement in areas close to our specialty, knowledge management. In 2004, he wrote a book, Guide to Cross-Media Publishing, in which he set out some ideas that later became the first EKR company and now the EKR Orchestra Method and Technology. Next to Marco is Fabio. Fabio Degli, Angeli, mechanical engineer, management consultant, managing director. Extensive experience, he's at Vjal Institute, extensive experience in turning around small and medium businesses, designing and executing comprehensive growth strategies, including go-to-market, sales and marketing, operations, supply chain, and organization, proven ability to manage owners and stockholders, exercise leadership in complex environments, and with sustainable results. Next to Fabio is Riccardo. Bovetti, he has over 26 years of experience. He's at Ernst & Young Partners in business and management consulting in Europe, Africa, and Asia, leads large projects in digital and business transformation, corporate innovation and performance improvement, as well as complex strategic projects. Graduated summa cum laude in information sciences from the University of Turin and began his career working for various ICT consulting firms. And over next to Riccardo is Juan. He is head of engineering, the engineering department in Technip Energies, Italy. And with that, we're going to get underway. Give me a second to walk down to the far chair here. All right. So, Marty, we're going to begin with you. And on the subject of customer experience enhancement, how has AI enabled your company to enhance customer experiences? Can you discuss maybe any specific technologies or approaches that have been particularly effective? And you'll need that microphone there.
There we go. Before we get started, I'd like to kind of quickly ask, how many people are using AI in any type of form throughout their daily life? Are you guys using ChatGPT, Claude, and all that? Okay. Have you started applying it to your businesses as of yet? Okay. So how our company is applying AI in a specific use case, which is the RFQ use case. And if you guys have participated in any completion of the RFQ, what you'll quickly find is, one, every company has their own unique language to describe what it means to be a valve. Some attributes are lengthy, some are missing, some are quite confusing, and all of these descriptions lie in one of three applications. So they lie in an email, they lie in a PDF, and they lie in a spreadsheet. And so what we're working with valve manufacturers and folks throughout the supply chain to help them achieve a better customer experience for their customers is we're applying a supervised machine learning model centered on understanding two things. One, what it means to be a valve. So you can take any string of text and understand if something's a gate valve, a globe valve, a gate valve, etc. And then with that understanding of what it means to be a valve, you can also understand the attributes of a valve. Once that model is implemented within the workflow, now we're able to allow the AI combined with software to do a work, right? So that work entails ingesting these large spreadsheets, sending these descriptions through the model, having the AI parse out each attribute, no matter how lengthy, into its components, and then extend that search to identify which product selections are optimal per that description, per any business rules applied to that RFQ. So you can figure an AML, long-standing contracts, etc. What we've seen from a customer experience perspective is a couple things happening. So one, we're able to help inside sales teams identify what is missing within a description so they can quickly react to their customers' needs in order to figure out how to best help them per some of the line items that are sent over that they may not be able to quote due to a wrong material, the paint not being there, etc. But we're also able to help a lot of these valve manufacturers take a 2-week process at points and kind of trickle that down into a couple hours, if not less than a couple hours, to where now they've got completed information, they're ready to better communicate with their customers on how to adapt to their changing needs over the life cycle of an RFQ, or make changes or suggestions within that RFQ process to better suit the particular project at hand. And so what we found is that a lot of the generative AI that exists, these large language models where you can input something and receive something back, whether it be some form of text, a video, a photo. I think ChatGPT launched their newest version today where they're doing a lot of interactive features. I think one was translating English to Italian, which would be useful for us today, especially tonight. But taking a look at applying AI in a different way where you can understand data in one application, rip it apart, standardize it, and then apply that standardization to other applications to have actual AI do work for you within existing workflows so that you can get a superior or optimal result within a key component of your performance metrics.
All right, thank you, Marty. Marco, we wanted to talk to you about that same subject, customer experience enhancement from your perspective. Again, how has AI enabled your company to enhance the customer experience? And are there any specific technologies or approaches that are particularly effective?
Okay. I try to extend this concept. First of all, I am the CEO of EKR. EKR is Enterprise Knowledge Reengineering. So we work with mostly with manufacturers to help our customer to improve their process in knowledge management. Knowledge is everything that typically is in the head of the knowledge creators, so R&D, product manager, or a sales guy. And typically the knowledge has to move in a kind of a knowledge journey from the inside to the external part of the company or vice versa sometime. So customer experience is this, for example, in this case, our customers communicate the internal knowledge typically for two main reasons. Pre-sales, so to communicate how their product, the feature of their product, or after sales, so when someone bought a product to use it correctly or to make the correct maintenance, or when the product is already installed in after sales and service, exchanging experiences with their customers. These two big flows up to now are mostly done with static documents, for example, marketing document, brochure, or PDF-related document, or with dynamic website, portal, application, and so on. Now, we are starting with our customer to allow them to communicate both for pre-sales and after-sales through what we call an enterprise agent, an enterprise assistant. So someone that can get in touch to the sales guy or to the pre-sales, to the customer, and discuss, receive, and send and receive information to go directly to the piece of knowledge that he or she needs to buy the product or to solve a problem if the product is already bought, so we are in after sales. So I think that the user experience of, in general, a company will change a lot thanks to generative AI, because many of the activity that today are done by human people or static and dynamic documents will be in the next future done in a different way, in a quicker way, with no language barriers, with no time barriers. Think that if I need an information from a sales guy, I need he is on the other side of the phone. But if I can ask to a chatbot or by voice to a system, he can be already there and understand any language about any product. So this will change a lot in the next future. One of the big problem is that the knowledge, so the raw material, the basic elements to feed an AI, because the AI to make the AI become, the generative AI become effective, so without hallucination. You know, hallucination is the biggest problem one of the biggest problem of AI. The knowledge must be correctly managed. And now a big part of the knowledge inside the company is not correctly managed, and the fact that we have a human being in the middle allow to have a badly managed knowledge and a human that resolve this problem. So we will see probably in the future a new way. We are seeing real now, and we will see more in the future, a new way to exchange knowledge, exchange information among the external part of the company and the internal part through the AI, but this needs that the internal processes of knowledge management are strongly changed.
All right. Thank you so much for that insight and explanation. Fabio, I want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence introduction. Is it possible to have a one-size-fits-all approach that exists for AI introduction? And also, what is a possible roadmap for AI integration?
Okay, thank you. And a brief introduction. I've been CEO, managing director in the last 10 years, so I've had the opportunity to know a little bit about the organizations, how they work. But being always interested in technology, I have joined the AI revolution, and since last November, I'm a trainer for the Vjal Institute, which is an institution with more than 250 trainers around the world, who has trained more than 10,000 people, CEOs and teams and top managers all around the world in artificial intelligence. And of course, even if it's a trivial answer, the answer is no. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Even if, in my experience, there are a few things that can be common to all the companies. The first one is to consider that the AI revolution is not mainly a technological revolution, but it's a cultural revolution for the organization. The most important thing is that it will change radically the culture and the people in the organizations. And this is for all the companies. The second one is that the technology is evolving very quickly. Every week, every 2 weeks, there are a few news. Every month or 2 months, there are radical innovations. So we are in a sort of, we should be in a sort of wait and see situation. So we should wait to see which is the technology who is emerging, what is coming out. But in my opinion, we cannot afford the weight calculation. We need to start now, even if there is the risk, I would say it's a certainty that we are going to throw away part of the development or the developments we are doing, because new technologies are coming out, and everything that now seems very complicated will be very easy in the next months, maybe. But nevertheless, it is worth starting again to accumulate experience with the generative AI. The third point, sorry, is that there must be a strong endorsement in the AI adoptions. Companies, organizations are generally reluctant to the adoptions of new technologies, to the change management. It's very difficult to introduce this kind of technology in the organizations, and that's why the CEO must be the head of AI, as I said, at least in the beginning. Organizations need a strong endorsement from the CEOs to start with this process, because people are the wise. If you leave people by themselves, nothing is going to happen in the organizations. And I have seen this in my experience. I mean, after the workshop, big enthusiasm, but if you don't work on that, everything is going to stop. And said that, I think that one fourth thing that is very useful is to, in the approaching of this technology, is to think of AI as an intern, a stagiaire, a person very, very skilled. This is not my idea. This is copyright by Ethan Mollick, which is a professor from the United States who is studying a lot of this, has also written a book which is called Co-Intelligence, which is worth reading it. And if you consider Gen AI not as a software, but as an intern who is very skilled in everything, almost everything, but knows nothing about your company, this may help in understanding how to use it. Okay. Said that, there are differences between every organization. There are cultural differences. The cultural fit is different from company to company. The regulatory environment is different. I work with the pharma industry, and it is very complicated. All the privacy and data protection approach is really strict. On the other sector, this doesn't happen. There are different technology maturity levels in each companies, and also the readiness of the people the openness to the change is different from company to company. The company I'm working with right now is very close to all the changes, and it will be very difficult to introduce AI. Other companies are much more open, and lastly, but this is maybe common to everyone, the AI impact changes a lot from job to job. If we talk about knowledge workers, if we talk about marketing activities, okay, large language models are great. I have a big designing department. We have a lot of drawings, and at the moment it's very difficult to introduce generative AI. Okay, so there are a few common things that may help, especially in the beginning, and then you have to customize your approach step by step. I will talk about the roadmap later.
All right. Thank you, Fabio. All right, moving over to Riccardo. Talk a little bit about automation of routine tasks. So what types of routine tasks within your company have been automated by AI, and what has been the observed impact on productivity and employee satisfaction?
Okay, thanks. Just a matter of also introducing myself. I'm a senior partner in Ernst & Young. I spent a lot of my time in assisting company in their business and transition, and cannot be performed other than with technology infusion as well. When we refer to automation in conjunction with AI, we probably are talking about the simplest application that could involve the automation, the AI. And first of all, I would like to use a term that has been introduced by Marco that is more, in my opinion, more adequate to explain what is going around. So it is more agent intelligence rather than artificial one. And especially when we talk about the automation through the AI, we are dealing with something that could not work absolutely in isolation, but we have to consider technology like AI in conjunction with other technologies. Firstly, with robotic process automation, that is the, let me say, the engine that is helping the activity to be performed, but also with data integration, with data analytics, with all the technologies that belongs under the general terms of AI or intelligence automation or agent intelligence that allows to perform a certain kind of task. And again, reusing what Fabio says, when we discuss about the automation through AI, we are again dealing with an intern, but with an intern that has no characteristics that could be considered as positive, like is not skilled at all, but it is the most stupid person that you have in your company that you can attribute only very stupid, repetitives, and absolutely brainless tasks. And this is the way in which the automation works better. So having a process or sequence of steps to be at the minimum level transformed into a series of activities that could be performed without any intelligence, like the dishwashers. So the dishwashing machine is not intelligent at all, but it performed perfectly the job that you suppose and that you expect from. And this is exactly the metaphor that is not mine, but that I can reuse in that case. Several use cases are already in place when we look at the artificial intelligence, or better, the agent intelligence for automation of repetitive tasks, not only in the most trivial ones, so the support function. You can imagine in the administrative departments or in everything that is related to the back office activities that is deal 100% of the time with emails, spreadsheets, access to corporate or managerial systems that has to be filled, and in which the human perform tasks that are more being a sort of integration of the system. Lack of integration of the system, let's call it human to put data reading from one side and putting in the others. For sure, artificial intelligence, even the generative artificial intelligence could improve and accelerate those kind of automation, because of it add a sort of at least syntactic perfection to the document, the text that is written or understood. Let me use understood in a way that is not proper, but it is what is generally spoken. And this is something that's it's already in place since at least 2010, 2012, as a matter of cost reduction in accessing to the platform, rather than in having such incredible computational power that is instead necessary for the large language model. In the core function, coming to something that is probably closer to your experience, there are several use cases in the supply chain management. So in having inbound or outbound managed through robots that perform something that could be considered as an intelligent task, as well as, mentioned before, the bidding or reading and understanding the request for proposal, putting in conjunction the request for proposal with compliance laws and other aspects that could be necessary to consider for answering correctly to the question. Last point, Marco already says that is a sort of attention that we have to pay to the human in the loop. And this is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important topics that we can concentrate on. Even in the most automated process, we need to ensure that the human remain in the loop, that the human remain the process owner, and that we are able to establish a sort of quality assurance over the result that is produced by the machine. And human in the loop can be in the automation before letting the machine to perform in an incredible, rapid way, massive task, after having decided that the task has to be performed in a certain way. So this is the part of the human belongs. Also in the middle, so taking care of a preliminary result that has been produced by the automation or the artificial intelligence, and then moving on the next steps, or benefiting for massive work that has been done in the beginning. So coming to my personal experience, example, in EY, we use artificial intelligence. We don't have any production environment or processes, but we use, example, artificial intelligence for making, to deal with the CVs that we receive every day in our company, to select and to reorder based on certain criteria, or completely far from, let me say, what is expected in the audit. It is one of the activities that we perform in our firm that is most affected by the artificial intelligence, because of through automation, artificial intelligence. Our colleagues from the audit department are now able to perform analysis on the posting, on the journals, on the finance figure of the company, no more only limiting themselves to a sample, so certain number of transaction, but analyzing all the transaction that is in the database, all the transaction that is in the accounting system, and this ensure, the very last word, this ensure a better result in terms of even satisfaction of the people, because sometimes who works in a regulated market is really frustrating by the fact that the sample cannot catch the real behavior, the real understanding of what is going behind, and instead having a machine that is able to perform a massive analysis could let people to concentrate on the phenomena in a way that is, again, it is human intelligence thanks to the intelligence agent.
Well, thanks, Riccardo. It sounds like your firm has got some handle on the situation, but there's so much more benefit to achieve yet. So Juan, we want to talk about strategic decision making. Can you provide some examples of how AI has transformed decision-making processes within your organization, and maybe how this has impacted some of the strategic outcomes?
Yeah, so practically our company, I don't know who knows Technip Energy, is a main contractor company, so building plants, now moving in the innovation, and new technologies and new energies. It has been a company decision not to give final decisions to AI. It's a prudent decision, but surely having, and developing AI inside the organization to provide all the required support to take decisions quicker and with more elements. Let me say, this is the decision that our company is following. In particular, for AI, the main applications for which we are working in this moment, so are not deployed but are mainly working on that. We have some applications on, similarly to the RFQ and so on, gap analysis of contracts, specifications, requirements, and so on. We are working on some applications of related to safety, on prevention of potential incidents. So AI is able to prevent or to predict areas of high risk, and this is, one of the targets to have this prevention of incidents. And we have another more technical application we are working with, and is as you know, one of the main core business of our company is the engineering development, mainly on the engineering definition and modeling of the plants, allowing them to provide all the required documentation to build up the plant. On this, practically, we are making some applications for auto routing of piping, cable trays, and so on. This, as I said before, is not, so the target is not to just give the project to the machine and then go to build. The target is to reduce the man hours and to give, more valuable time for the people working on the projects. And the last application we are working on is on the, we are introducing some AI concepts on the planning. Also there, as I said, and this is for sure more important in terms of decision making, to have rough analysis of the previous and historical data. Then, of course, as you know, every project is different, one to each other. So the data that is available is not reflecting everything, but is at least giving a good basis to have rough analysis and work on proper planning with historical data mainly.
All right, thank you, Juan. Back to you, Marty. Talk a little bit about innovation in products and services. Would you happen to be able to share a case study where AI identified a market trend or gap that led to a new product or service development within your company?
Yeah, sort of the interesting things with applying AI within data sets is that there's secondary and tertiary value that comes out of the application of the AI within those data sets. We're not there yet, but I think this is a possibility. We've actually been contacted by a couple hedge funds for this particular reason. But if you look at the global market and this RFQ process is sending, hey, I need to buy all this stuff, right? And they're sending it all throughout the world. Well, a lot of times valve manufacturers, when the request of this, stuff comes into their company, they're only capturing what has been sold, not necessarily what is wanting to be purchased. And then they're not capturing what is wanting to be purchased down to that attribute level, right? But if you look at what the attributes that are coming in are, so they're not only the definitions of what is to be purchased at some future state in time, or at least likely to be purchased, so changes in specifications, something that you're not capturing that you should be making that you're not making now, but it's also the material. So the material of which you need to manufacture a valve. And so if you get a large enough data set that's capturing how much nickel is to be requested over the next 6 months to 2 years, now some interesting things can happen where you can apply some of the data that you've learned to your purchasing abilities within the commodity markets in order to lower a lot of your costs in terms of your valve production. So we're working with a couple companies around those two particular efforts. How do we get a better understanding of how to buy certain materials better in the futures markets, as well as capturing data coming in that's demand data, not just what happened yesterday data, so that they can shift their production 6 months, 18 months down the road to fully capture what's about to happen instead of miss it and be on the cutting edge. And I'll give you one quick thing to start thinking about. There was a company that we were working with applying AI to the transportation space. So what they did was they created computer vision models to understand when you're moving a home, you need to pack up your stuff and give it to a truck, and the truck transports it, right? And to pan, it's the same quoting process. They created computer vision models where you could take a camera around your house and capture and inventory everything in your house and understand the weight and how much it would cost. So that 3-week process turned into a matter of 5 minutes, believe it or not. But as a result of them taking that first hard step of capturing the vision data within the people's houses, they were able to then connect with insurance markets to where they could easily understand what someone's, the types of material or the types of lamps in people's houses. They could take that data, search publicly available market data on used lamps that fit that description, properly calculate the value of their house's goods, send that data to an insurance company, and the insurance company will come back with a quote as well. But you can't get there without that first step. And I think a lot of those secondary and tertiary value aspects are going to be coming to this market that people may not realize, that certain people may be ahead of others inside. So for us, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out, not only in the manufacturing space, but in the commodity market space and other spaces dealing with the cost to produce a thing.
Thanks, Marty. That's a great example with the insurance. So, Marco, we're going to go back to the automation of routine tasks subject, and I know you've got some things to offer here. Again, we're asking what types of routine tasks within your company have been automated by AI, And what has been the observed impact on the productivity and employee satisfaction?
Okay, there are many places where we try to introduce the automation of generative AI. In my opinion, generative AI in the offices, in the knowledge worker, is comparable. You can compare it somehow with the introduction of robots in production. So when you find a process in a company, mostly in the offices with people that work with a PC or somehow they are related to a computer, and you see that there is something that is low value. So for example, as we said, in the middle between human and an ERP system, for example, for data collecting or data improving, there is possible to introduce some element of generative AI, and many times the customers ask me, but can I solve any problem with generative AI? Because it seems so fantastic that we can solve any situation and make better any situation. I started to try to define when is possible to introduce the generative AI in routine activities. And one typical point is similar to what Fabio said about the intern. So think to introduce, to do that job, to do that task, a new person, perhaps an engineer or someone that has a good competence but has no knowledge of your company. So are you able to explain to this new person, new employee, how to work? So if you are able to explain in words, so in a list of information how he or she have to work, then probably that thing could be sooner or later done with artificial intelligence. If you think that you are not able to describe because there is some problem solving, there is some step that is not so easy to be described, then is not a routine step that can easily solved with AI. And again, going back to knowledge, that is our bigger experience. When you are doing, when you are trying to solve a repetitive step, a routine step with the AI, the new person that you just hired, where he or she can find the knowledge that he needs to solve that problem. And typically this is one key point of knowledge management for AI. Most of the time, the two places where a new person can find the knowledge is accessing to documents or asking to colleagues. So the knowledge, the implicit knowledge of the colleagues and the explicit, not structured knowledge of documents are the main container of what is necessary for a person, for a new person to start working and making his routine job. So if we can take the knowledge that is in the document and structure them, and if we can day by day acquire the knowledge of the experts, then we can put all this knowledge in a container. Typically we use the RAG, the Retrieval Augmented Generation paradigm. So the routine job can use the competence of the new guy, and the knowledge you day by day, month by month, year by year, you collected in the knowledge container. So in my opinion, there will be many processes where putting these two things together will be possible to free time from people, making machines do repetitive and even complicated but describable, I don't know if you can say describable, but a task that you are able to describe, to formalize, and to explain to an AI. So in this case, we can think that in many situations, those tasks can be solved by AI. On the contrary, when someone is asking me, can you solve this task with AI? Are you able to explain how to do? No, I'm not able, because there are too many variables. I don't know, perhaps the weather, or perhaps what I think in this moment. Okay, in that situation, do not try, because the generative AI cannot invent, cannot create a situation, but just can better use something that already exists.
Thank you, Marco. It sounds to me like you're going to have to invest some time up front to generate more time down the line.
Yes.
Without a doubt. All right, Fabio, we're going to go, you partially answered two questions really, but we're going to go back to the roadmap and ask you for a little more explanation of, is there such a thing for AI integration?
Coming back to the roadmap, I would say that there are a few steps that may help in the AI adoption. And what I usually suggest when I do my workshop to the CEOs, to the teams, the first step is to spread the knowledge about the new technology, because it is really something really new compared to other things. People don't even know how to interact with the ChatGPT or something like that. People ask me, okay, what can I do? How should I ask the GPT to do something? And so the first step is to spread the knowledge. So to create a culture about this new technology, which is very different from software. It's not software. Software, if you have the same input, you always get the same output. In this case, at this moment, for the same input, you get every time a different output. So you need to understand how it works, more or less. And he can make mistakes. If you look at ChatGPT interface, it is written in small characters. ChatGPT can make mistakes, which is the most important thing I usually say, okay? Second thing, the impact on people is huge. People are reacting in different ways. There are a few enthusiasts which quickly join the new technology, want to start up with the new tests and so on. A lot of people is close to is scared, is concerned about all the implication, or simply don't understand what's going on, and so they are concerned about the future. So the second thing is to reassure, to give support to the people, letting them understand what's going on. The first step is to let them know what is happening. And this is the first step. You can do in different ways. The third step, once you have spread a little bit of culture, basic culture, you can start testing. I usually say that in the beginning, it's better to use this technology as an individual superpower. You know, you can do many things, even if you don't implement in a process. You can use it for little tasks. You can define a small task, a small process, narrow application, an easy one where you can extract big value from the adoption of simple ChatGPTs or chatbot or something like that. And but to do that in the roadmap, you need to push the process. Otherwise, everything I was saying before is going to stop. So usually in the organization I've been, I suggested to create an AI team, an AI coach, or AI evangelist to support the process. Okay, and of course, CEO must be the first one to, hands-on and try to understand what's going on. And then after, I would say, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you can try to create your first proof of concept. So you try to involve an external consultant to make your first project. You're probably going to throw it away in a few months, but nevertheless, you start working on that. And it's been said, already been said, the first thing to do is start thinking about data. Where are your data? How you store it, and how you will store it starting now for the future. Many organizations start to store their data in different ways. Okay, so they will have data to use in 1 year, in 2 years, to fine-tune models, to do other things based on their knowledge. And this is the roadmap, simple roadmap. Of course, there are many problems in the organizations. I found a person during my workshop, a person who said, I am against artificial intelligence, I don't want that. And I said, okay, I agree, I may agree with you, but the technology is coming. Everyone will be using that technology, and so better to start.
All right, thank you, Fabio. It sounds to me like the process really depends on how fast you want to move, but also how much control of your data you have. Yeah. Okay, we're going to come back to Riccardo because he has something special he wants to talk about, but we'll go over here now to Juan and talk about the future of work and workers. So is adoption of AI on a large scale sustainable from a social point of view? And is there an adequate consideration of the large-scale implications on the work transformation? And that's kind of a loaded subject, but I'll let you have it.
It's quite a difficult subject, by the way. So as I said before, practically, at least how our company is taking in consideration the AI is like a support, is something creating the basis to work on it. So surely it will have a social impact. It's having a social impact not only in our company, but I think everywhere in the world. As Marco was saying, so practically it's something that is a fact. Now we cannot avoid it. It's there in place. What we need to do is to find a way to properly work with it, to implement it without, let me say, I cannot say without impact because it will have impacts, but at least trying to give more value to the people, to the work that the people is doing. So let me say, how I see it is something even more ethic, because at the end, what we are going to the work to give a valuable product, so a valuable end of what we are doing. Then the AI will take care of the generic processes or to repetitive processes or things that even today are done with intelligence by the people, but as we already discussed and we said several times, can be somehow roughly or even in perfect way defined by AI. This is the thing.
All right, thank you, Juan. It seems like the trick is to harness the AI but not make the worker feel concerned about it, but get your value out of it. All right, Riccardo, we're going to come to the big topic here, ethics concerns. Why do we need an AI, or even moreover, a digital ethic to be developed?
How many hours do you have? It's no, it is because it's quite large topics. In my academic careers, I've dedicated large part of this on these topics, but this is especially, first of all, the question is, do we need a digital or an AI ethics? Spoiler, yes. And I would like to go through the reason why we need that, even in a technical way. Someone says, but you do philosophy? Yes, broadly. But it is because it is needed at that time. So we need to step back and to think about something that is the philosophy we would like to, and the human project for the being from the future. So, but this is because of sometimes there is a quite confusion about the terms, because we in Europe as freshly approved a laws around the AI, the AI Act. It's a fantastic set of laws. As you know, it's a joke, but you know, the US invents something, the Chinese copying it, and the European limit through regulation. So this is basically how the innovation works. And but it is quite a big confusion about the terms compliance, laws, and ethics. Those two terms is referring to things that are completely different, and without ethics, having in place laws and even the better possible compliance or the governance, it is not absolutely enough. Why? The relationships among the humans and the world, intermediated through the technologies, is something that is not new. It is something that is a part of the human history from the very beginning. So, but our relationship to the world, intermediated through the technology, has been mainly an efficiency improvement relationship. So we use technology for increase our efficiency in transforming the way the world in a way that we human do with less efficiency, with less span, with less power, and whatever. But there are also another aspect. The technology, especially the technology digital and the AI, can produce, and this is the effectiveness. So the capability that those technology has to create something new, instead of simply repeat at the maximum speed things that we already do and performing something that we already perform. So this change in the nature of the technology oblige ourselves to reflect about what we really would like to do with the technology, because of probably we have said at the very beginning, we use digital technology to improve our capability to take decisions. Decisions are something that is still performed by human, and the consequences of a decision is a transformation of the world. And this is something that's happened. But in a digital world, decisions are mainly starting from knowledge. And the knowledge is something that is generated starting from information. And the information is derived from the data. And the data is a sort of way to represent the reality. So this is basically the value chain, the information value chain that we have established through digital technologies. But let's start from the beginning. We start from the reality. We datify the reality through sensors, everything that we put in place in order to collect information about the world, data about the world. But the process that we call in place in that case is approximation. Every map formed by data that represent the reality is wrong by design because it is approximated. So from this approximated vision of the reality, we start to introduce elements, and the elements are the structure of the data itself, the meaning of the data, the semantic value of the data, and thanks to this process, that is a sort of synthetic process on the data, we are able to generate information. So we discard every data that is not bringing us structure, value, semantic value, and meaning, and we concentrate on the information. Then through this information we generate knowledge, and we generate knowledge using a process that is a correlation. So we call it in action the probability, because of we correlate information for generating based on that the knowledge. And based on this knowledge, we take decisions that modify, as we said before, the word. So we act on the word, modifying the word, starting from approximation, synthesis, and probability correlation of the elements that we establish. And this is extremely riskful. And this is why we need an ethics. And an ethics that need to be developed respecting at least five key elements. AI should be, first of all, interpreted, so it should behave with benevolence. So it has to be developed for the benefit of the humans, with the non-maleficency. So it is not to be projected to be harmful, to be autonomy, to preserve human autonomy. So we need to be able or to be allowed to decide if we can use or if you would use or not. It must implement justice, so it has to be equally spreaded and accessible wherever. And last but not least, it must be explicable. So human can decide if they should or will use or not based on the knowledge on how the algorithms works, rather than the effect that they produce. And lastly, there is only one way to incorporate those ethical principles within AI. It's by design. So you cannot expect to put some laws to make some barrier after having developed something that is an AI that is not respectful or ethic principle. So you should start from the beginning, and before starting with, as has been said, with the first pilot, to be sure to enforce all those ethical principles within the algorithm you develop from the very beginning. Otherwise, it will be too late afterwards.
Well, thank you for that, Riccardo. It sounds to me like the companies need to get together and develop some common thoughts on all of this, and the sooner the better. Yeah. So I have one question for the roundtable panel overall. It's probably not a fair question, but it's all Fabio's fault because he's the one who said the technology is coming. So it makes me think of timing. And I haven't heard this addressed really. It's probably not a fair question, but at what point, how long will it take before artificial intelligence is just another standardized process for implementation within various companies? I mean, are we talking 5 years, 10 years, 15? Anybody got any thoughts?
2047. I'm joking. Of course, this is the forecast that the main scientists have done about the general artificial intelligence, which is the one we should perform tasks at least as the human or better than the humans. I don't believe in this forecast, and if anyone is saying that there will be 10 years, 5 years, I have no idea. It's really impossible because technology is rapidly changing, and also the way they are building large language models, which is the structure, the technology at the base of the Gen AI. The technology is changing. They are developing new ways of creating these language models. Sometimes are small. Also, the architecture is changing. We are moving from a huge and single large language model to maybe many small models with specific knowledges and orchestrated by someone artificial on top of that. So it is very difficult to understand which is the evolution. I would say that if I were a CEO, and I am a CEO, and I'm thinking on a 3 to 5 years time to be ready and to be to have adopted this technology. I have started. I'm not running to be the first mover. It's not always the best choice to make, but I am starting. It would be 3 years, 5 years, you never know, but I think that the more you are ready, the more you have experienced the current technologies, the more you will be able to test and correct your project. So really, I'm saying something very new. You need to be flexible. And this is a common word used by everyone in the last 20 years. But in this case, I think you need even more.
Sounds good.
So 2047 is really the date forecasted.
I have, if you guys want, a couple of points. So in the North American market, there couldn't be more cash dedicated to investing in startups to solve every aspect of everyone's business imaginable. If you go on Twitter and look at what's happening in San Francisco right now, there's about 250 meetups of people hacking together technology in order to disrupt every single one of your operations in every way you can imagine. And I'll give you a quick story. So I met with a gentleman who is the head of procurement for Blue Origin, so the Jeff Bezos' spaceship company. And they've already had this adopted, and I imagine this is going to start scaling sooner than later. But what they did is they go out to vendors such as valve manufacturers and go, hey, look, here's an RFQ, put your T's and C's in there, and you guys put their T's and C's in there. So what they did as an initiative internally was to create a small team with little help from legal counsel as possible. And what they did is you guys would send them an email, you'd would have their T's and C's, they would forward it to a model that they trained that would redline your T's and C's, provide comments to you, and email back an answer. And they got so good at this that the responses came back to their vendors almost immediately. And their vendors started calling in going, what's going on? I know your counsel is not looking at these T's and C's. And so instead of having any lawyers involved in the process, they just delayed the response by 24 hours and just kept it going. But I can tell you, this is going to move a lot faster than you imagine. There's a lot of people betting on this, and there's a lot of smart people involved in disrupting every segment of every business and every operation available to disrupt and capture value.
Sure, sure.
I would like to say one thing that for me is important in this in this situation, that we saw that not everybody is used to practice with ChatGPT or other, and I think that one thing is extremely important to know to begin this process of adoption. That is to have very clear that there are 3 levels of, let's say, technology. There is the traditional technology, traditional IT, information technology, that is deterministic, like from Excel, SAP, the ERP. So where you have a data structure, an algorithm, and a result that you can confirm 100%. Then there is AI. That is typically what is related to machine learning, data from the field, and so on. And this is not the new thing. This is important, but it's not the new thing. What is absolutely different is generative AI. That seems to be the same of AI, but is completely different from AI, because the data structure where the algorithm is working is not something coming from the field, from sensor, but is based on what the humanity wrote in last centuries and is public. And this is somehow related to the concept of ethics, because the quality of what is inside the large language model is what people wrote in these centuries. So it is important to clearly understand these 3 big containers, because I've heard many times that there is a kind of discussion, it's not clear, is AI, is generative, no, it's traditional. It's important, in my opinion, if we have to define a roadmap, this is the first point that must be clear inside any organization. Deterministic information technology, AI that is related to machine learning, sensor, blah, 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 and generative AI related to large language model, where the base is the text large language model made with unsupervised learning, so downloading all the text of the word. That's the big difference.
Coming back to the question, 235. Why? Because we have 10 fingers. So normally humans, when you go out of 10, it is all the same. So you can say the first 11 years starting from now, it's always good. As Niels Bohr, the physician, says, it's quite impossible to make provision and to make forecasting, especially on the future. So it is something that we have to pay attention at.
All right, and on that note, I think we will end this roundtable. Thank you, everyone on the roundtable, for some really great comments and insights, and obviously there's a lot of work left to be done on artificial intelligence. We're going to have our second and final speaker of the day in a few minutes, and with that, we'll leave the stage here now. Thank you.